Okay, it's Beverly here over at Crafting Chaos with part 3 of the reveal wheel card with the cute scientist. And I'm just showing you now that I have actually printed out, using my printer, the images, if it'll hope you can see them. And what I'm going to do now is show you how to use your scan and cut to cut them out. So I'm going to, and also if you notice, I've got my Eclipse mat on top of my Brother mat, so it's no problem. So now all I'm going to do is load my mat, and then I'm going to go on scan, direct cut, choose the machine, and then hit the go button, if you will. I want to call it go. So it's now scanning the image in. Okay, and it's going to search for us. Then we're going to frame the image. So I'm just moving the arrow keys in so that I've just got the images selected, and then I'm going to say OK. Give it a couple of minutes to recognise. So it's not going to take very long. It seems longer when you're waiting for it to do it. And it's recognised all those beautifully. I'm going to say OK, and then I'm going to select this icon. If you want to cut them right up to the edge, then you can use this icon and just decrease it a little bit, and that'll cut it right up to the edge. Or I like to have a little bit of a border around mine in white, but it's all personal choice. So I've actually gone for a border distance outline and say OK. Then I can say OK. I'm just going to check that my blade is on the right setting. So I need it to be on about a 4 for this cardstock because I know the machine. And I'm going to hit cut. And then I'm going to hit the machine. So I'm going to let it cut the images. So it's doing that now. Never ceases to amaze me how fast it does this. Can you imagine how long this would take with a pair of scissors? So you can actually see it's cutting the images quite happily. In that one, unfortunately, but it's not a problem. I can do that one again. So it must have had something under my mat that caught the blade then. So I'll do that one again for when I do the actual remaking the card. So then if I just lift them off, it's just a shame that there must have been something just under the blade that caught that one, because it's cut all the others really well. So all we need to do then is just OK and unload the mat, and there you can see them on the mat cut out, hopefully. And what I normally do is I have a little bucket that I got from IKEA that I put all my little cutouts in so I don't lose it. So what I'll do is I'll cut that what's it called again, the microscope out again for it before I do the actual card, and I'll get back and show you how to assemble the card shortly. So I'll be back with you soon. Keep watching. Bye for now. Hello crafty friends, I'm back here over at my crafting desk now, and what I'm going to try to do is just not going to show you every step of it, but I am going to try to show you some of it. So what we're going to be making is I've now cut out all the main parts, and I've just decided to go with this one because it was the one that was already over on my scan and cut after I'd cut out all my images. Now I did decide to cut them all out again so I'd have some from the reveal wheel. So I've actually got 2 little boys now, and I have got my microscope cut out, which I was saying had caught a little, so now that's good to go. So I've got all my images in my little pot, and I'm going to keep everything in there, and I'm going to talk you through what I actually did and how to assemble the card. I'm not going to do all the colouring in the video but I will do, there is something that I wanted to show you all. So I'm just going to put that so you've got your little mark where you need to put your hole for your brad and so on, that I did with the pen tool. So all I've got is a piece of nice weight smooth paper, card, whatever you want to call it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this big stamp. Now on my original file, so if I show you this one, this actually turns and you've got the conical flask with the test tube and you've got the beaker showing the heart bubbles coming out. I Love You Beyond Measure, and then obviously it's all about the chemistry is that one that was on the top, and I've popped it up a little and obviously it opens up then as a card. So that's it on a 5x7 card, and I've got some of the elements just hanging over because I knew I was putting it on this card it would be okay. What I'm aiming to emulate here is this paper here. Now when I did it, I used this Old Treasures paper stack and I used the board. Now obviously I know that not everybody's going to have that, but you might have an alternative, or you could always draw the lines in afterwards. So what I'm going to do is with my stamp I'm going to try, so that's the card we're aiming for, or a version of it that is achievable if you make the digital stamps like I showed you in the other video. So all I'm going to do, this is just a Do Craft stamp. It's a big stamp, it's a big one. And I'm just going to place it. I don't need it to go all the way across, but it is anyway. The problem I've got is it's going to want to move. So what I'm going to do is I'm just using my Stamps by Me big platform. So I've just put a tiny bit of, and I want my boards to be going this way, and I won't need it all, so I'm not too worried about getting a perfect image. But this is the only stamping platform that I've actually got at the minute that's going to be big enough to take this stamp. I do have another one. I have this small one, Stamp Perfect. And I also have another smaller version of the Stamps by Me, the Mini Eureka, which I sometimes use. And I also have the Tim Holtz stamping platform. So I'm not without stamping platforms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this on my Eureka door. So this is made by Tony Darroch, a UK designer. She sells beautiful stamps, and this is an absolutely amazing stamping tool. I'm sure you've all seen it before. What I'm going to do is I want to stamp it in a dark brown ink, so I'm going to be using my hybrid ink, I think, which is my tonic one if I can find it. I want the brown one. I'm struggling to find it. There's the grey, that's the brown. So I'm going to use the Acorn Brown, and the reason I'm doing this is it's hybrid ink, so it'll play nicely no matter what I decide to do. So I'm just going to ink up the stamp. So I'm tapping away. I'm not inking it all, I'm just inking the middle because it's only the middle that I need. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp, press that down. So obviously this is another option if you don't have the backing paper, because this will give us the effect of the lines, if you will. So again, I'm just going to double stamp it. Oh, just need to move that before I knock it off. So I'm just going to double stamp it. So I'm just tapping away, and then I'm going to close the door again, and we should get a nice impression now. So I'm just giving it a good press round, and I'll lift the door, and maybe just a little bit more at this side, just give it a bit more of a press. And I've got enough there for the width of my card. It's only having to go across this part anyway. So I'm going to take my Eureka, just give this stamp a wipe and I'll move it out the way. So I've used the Acorn Brown Tonic hybrid ink, so it's more versatile. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, so I've given this a bit of a wipe down, I'm going to move the Eureka out of the way, and we're going to work on this paper. So I'm just going to get myself a piece of scrap paper to work on, one that I've already worked on before. And I think I'm going to use a brown ink from my Distress range, if you will. Not my range, Tim Holtz range, but the ones I meant the colours what I've got. So I'm just going to, excuse me for 1 minute while I find it. I'm looking for my brown. There we are, Rusty Hinge looks okay. I might go with that one. I'm going to bring in the Rusty Hinge, and it's a new one, so I'll crack it open. So just starting the new one. So I've just treated myself to some nice new Distress ink. So I'm going to use Rusty Hinge. Get myself one of my blending brushes. So I have to admit these are not the life-changing brushes by My Sweet Petunia. They are indeed makeup brushes that I've ordered and paid about £7 or £8 for, and I got all those for about £7 or £8. And I'm not saying, I don't know whether the other ones are better than these. I'm not knocking the My Sweet Petunia ones, but I wasn't in the market to buy any brushes that was going to be close to the £50 mark. So you can vary the pressure and just going over lightly and inking the paper. So I want it to be a little bit patchy. I don't want it necessarily to be perfect, although it does blend really easily. These oxide inks are absolutely brilliant at blending, I have to say. I am very impressed, and I've not been using them very long, but I feel like I've fallen in love with the Tim Holtz Distress range all over again. I went through a period where I was using a lot of Tim Holtz products and using a lot of his Distress inks, and I need something just to put down there. So I use my trusty post-it note, so I end up getting ink everywhere. So I'm just putting that down to give myself something to hold on to. That means I'm not going to be, so I'm just barely touching here, holding it down, and again swirling. And they seem to be even more forgiving than the actual original Distress inks. So I'm liking the way that's looking now, and I might come in with another colour, but that's how I'm going to be going with that. I might go with a darker colour as well, so I might just put a little bit of dark on the edge. Now I've not got Distress ink walnut stain just at the moment. I've not run to getting them all. I can only afford so much, and my crafting budget has been well and truly hit this month with buying in the oxide inks, and I've treated myself to 12 new colours. And so I'm just going to give it some patches of the alternate colour, so I get a nice sort of weathered brown look. So I just need to add some patches where it might be a bit more grimy than others. Anybody that worked in a lab knows they don't stay pristine and clean for very long, especially when you let students loose in them. So I am just using the Distress normal ink now, and then I'm just going to come in again with the other one. So I'm quite happy with that. So that's going to form my bench, if you will. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to put these to one side, and I'm going to put my paper to one side, and I'm going to bring in this, and I'm going to use my trimmer if I can get at it. That's the only point when I'm actually filming. I end up with things everywhere and I can't actually do any cutting because I've piled everything onto my trimmer. So I'll just move those, and my cards can go to the side. Let's just move those along, and I'm going to trim this down so that it's not quite as wide. So I'm going to trim a part of it off, and then I'll do the rest once I've got it in place. So I want just a strip to go So I'm choosing the part that I like the best. So I'm just cutting it down and choosing what I like. Now, so I'm going to use that as my piece, and that's going to form my bench. So I'm going to pop that on there. So using my glue runner, I'm going to put some tape on the back, and it's only lightweight paper, so there's absolutely no reason why this won't hold. Make sure we have it the right way up because we want the turning wheel at that side, and I'm going to stick it so that it's slightly below there. Okay, so that's going to be our workbench in our lab. I just take my knife, and from the back I'm going to trim off the excess. So this is how I roll when I'm card crafting. I set off with just a couple of things out on my table and end up in a complete mess. But normally I would stop and clean a little bit so that it would nice and pristine for the video, but hey ho, this video will get too long if I do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a nice piece of paper that I can use for my floor, and I'm going to use a piece of this, and again I think I might use the distressed part. So just look in your stash. I'm sure we've all got papers in our stash that you can use, and this is the one that I'm going to use. So I'm going to go with that for my floor, and that's going to be my bench. So again, I'm going to add some tape. This time I'm going to add it to my card base because I know that I want to stick that on here. And we'll try to line it up so I can get it straight. So we'll line that up with a grid line and line that up to that one. Just ignore my head if it's coming into shot. And I'm going to pop that there. Okay, again pressing it down, and I'm just going to trim away the excess. So I'm just making the panel at the minute. So I'm just going to cut that down. You could do this with scissors just as easily, but I've decided to go with my craft knife because I feel I can get closer to the edge this way. So we're nearly there now. I've just got a little bit to release here. Okay, and here. So we're just going to trim from the back so it's neat on the front. Okay, so that's how we're looking now. So all I did then was take a slightly sturdier piece of card. So this can be an offcut. So all I want is a piece that's just slightly longer than my bench. So that's going to be fine. And I just need to cut a piece that's roughly about 1/4 inch in width. So that's maybe slightly less, but that'll be fine. And that needs to be 3D'd up so that it's going to look like it's standing proud, and that's going to be the workbench. So that's how that's going to go. So how would you do your mechanism? Like I said, I'm not going to bore you to tears doing all of this. Anything spare like that I always keep because you never know when it's going to come in handy. So we're going to get our board, our thing with the mechanism with the circle marked in, and I'm just going to punch in there so that I know that that's in the centre. Then I need to find the other part of our mechanism, which is this. Punch that like so, and then that's going to be our mechanism. So we need to now put some double-sided foam tape on there. So I just need to get my double-sided foam out, just bear with. So that's in my drawer, so I've got that out. I'll use my scissors. Let's get some of this stuff away because otherwise I'm going to end up in a right mess. I've already lost the lid to my knife, craft knife. I'll put it to one side because it will turn up. Put my brushes out of the way for now. And we'll carry on crafting. So now I've got my scissors. Put that out of the way as well. So I'm going to just use my Tim Holtz scissors, and I'm going to cut myself up the foam tape and across because I want 4 small pieces. Because what we need to do is attach 4 pieces so that they're not touching the edge and they're not touching the brad or where the brad is going to go. but they need to stand a little bit proud of the other part, if you will. So once we've got that, that's going to be attached to the back of your card, if you will, and your images will be on there. So what we need now is we need something for the back of our card. Now, the back of your card doesn't have to be anything special. It can just be an offcut, and it can be whatever you want, because it's not going to show up if you're going to stick it onto a larger piece of card. So I'm just going to use this yellow because it's handy, because it's not going to show. And I need a piece that's going to be 5.5 inches. So 5.5. 5.5 inches by 4.5 inches. Okay, so that is now the back for this piece. I could have cut it on the scan and cut, but I decided to do it this way. The only bit that's going to show is this bit, and I think that's going to blend in nicely with the colours that are on our card. I think I just need to just take the more slither off that one. So I think I've just let it slip a bit the blade. Okay, so that's better. Yeah, that's better. So now what we need to do is we're going to, first of all, get our brad. So just a tiny attaching brad. We only need one. So just getting the one out. And you need to kind of put it in backwards. So you're going to go in from in between the foam, if you will, and then in through the back where your pencil line was that you've drawn. And then you're just going to open the arms of the brad like so. Just give me a minute. I can't see it. I'm in a funny light. There, we've got it now. So we're going to open that, and then we're going to use this to help us position our card. Now, so I'm going to use that like so, position it on the card like so. When I'm happy with the position, that it's roughly got a little bit of clearance at the top here, and you can see the wheel here, and we've got it so that it's encapsulated in that. So now I'm going to remove the tape. I'll just let go of that one. So just remove all the foam tape like so. Now this is the trickiest part, so you have to make sure you keep a hold of it in the position where you've positioned it. Take your backing piece, line it up with your card front, and then attach it down. Now we've got the wheel in place where it needs to be, and obviously once we get our tape round here and this is popped up beyond that, this is going to turn freely. That will fit on there like so, and we'll be able to turn it here like that. Okay, because the reason for putting the brad on this way is so that we can then undo the arms, take this part off to attach the images using our template, and then we're away. So I've already got a template from this one, from where we did before. Okay, so we attach it, we can see that's where we're going. Okay, so when we line everything up, when I get it off, I'll know where I need to stamp. Okay, so that's roughly where we're up to now. So what you would do then is you would say we've got it all attached. Oops, just pulled that one. So say we've got our mechanism in place, we've got our foam bits on. You would then decide where you're going to have your images. And so when these are coloured in, they're going to look super cute. Where's the boy? We need a boy. We've got the girl. So we've got our boy and a girl standing there. We might have, where's our bench lid? Where have I put that now? Here. Tell you, put things down on this craft desk and it's like they disappear into the ether. Okay, it's as simple as just cut another one, Beverly, don't stress it. So there we are. There's our little strip, which is going to be popped up. We'll do that now, then you get the idea. So we're going to just use the foam tape. Just let me get into shot. So cut some thin pieces of the foam and attach them to one side of your, that one's going to be a bit too big, so I'll just put that there for a minute. So I'm just attaching the foam to the back of the strip. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So just by cutting some thin slithers off the foam tape, I'm going to go with one more. I'm going to go back in the drawer, the brad awl or the awl or whatever it's called, back in the drawer so it's not pinching me. And then I'm going to remove the backers of this, and this will give us a better idea of what the placement of the people might be. So I'm just going to take them off. I'm just going to put the mechanism to one side for a minute so I can get the bench. And I'm a little bit wonky on my bench, but this is where we can write it, if you will. So I'm just going to make sure that my foam tape's straight, and then we've got the bench there now, just hanging over just a little tiny bit more on this side than the other, so I'm just going to use the scissors and trim that off by eye. So that's the bench now. So now you would start to arrange your people. So we might have the little boy there, or the little boy here, and the little girl here with a nice notebook, like so. We can start putting our things on the bench. So we could have that one there, and maybe this one here. We can remember we can overlap because they're images that are on paper, not just whatever, not just cut out. And we've got our little atom sign that we could have there, or our molecule. So we could have maybe the atom over here and the molecule there, just for decoration. And maybe we put the little clipboard on the bench, or next on the floor next to the bench, because they've just put it down while they're doing an experiment. So what else have we got? Oh yes, here's our microscope that we want to put here. So we're going to put our microscope just behind the little girl, like so. And then we could use the little conical flask just to complete the arrangement. If I think I'm going to have the big one over here, then maybe the conical flask, tuck that one in behind, no, maybe that one there, tuck this one in behind, and then maybe this one here. So once they've all been coloured in and they've all got things in, it's going to look different again. So that's where we're up to. So you can dress that up, and then I've got some things left that I can put in my window, so I can stick something like that in there. And I was thinking I might, you could write, all of my atoms love all of your atoms, or something similar. So then you've got other small things that you can put in there. You've got the molecule, that you've got the atom that you can put in there, all my atoms. You've got the little conical flask, and you've got the round bottom flask that'll all fit, or even the notebook with just a note to say happy birthday. You could stamp that on your wheel rather than using these, or add this as, put your notebook there and go just a note to say, and then maybe put your picture and then happy birthday, and then write the name and just put whatever you want in the third position. So that's sort of the composition that I would be going for. So now, a trick that I wanted to just show you, I'm not going to do these colouring in on the video because the video is already getting long enough. So I'm just going to put all my bits back into my little pot so I don't lose them. And I strongly suggest, if you start cutting out your tiny bits like this, you do keep them in that, because if you're anything like I am, you can see how messed up my desk is now. If I keep all my bits together, I'm not going to lose anything, and I know where to look for it when I get to that stage. So, found my lid for my scissors, found my lid for my knife. See, it all comes together eventually. I do find things. So that's our basic card, and then we've added that. There was just another thing that I wanted to show you, because I don't know if you've got pro markers or whether you've got Copics or if you've got Spectrum Noirs. I've got a selection of all three. But I've always found that the pro markers were very difficult to use. The simple reason is the colour of the pen is on the barrel, not the actual end, so you can see the colour like on most other markers. So I'll show you what I mean. So this one, you can see what colour it is quite clearly, but it's on the barrel. So if that's shoved in somewhere, all you see is the black and you don't really know what you're using. And it drove me nuts rooting through my pro marker collection to find the ones that I did. So I needed to come up with a better solution. So I'm just going to share this quickly with you now, what I did. So basically, I went to the Letraset website and I printed off their pre-made sheet, if you will, for all the different colours. And I went with my collection and I coloured in. So this one, for example, is apple cider. So I found apple cider on here and it's here. The apple cider, no, sorry, apple cider's here. That's just apple. And I coloured a swatch of that on, so I know that that's the exact colour, what it looks like. So once I got them all coloured in, I thought, well, that's fine now, because now I can look at my chart and think which ones are going to make a nice blend together for a dark, a medium and a light. So I'm thinking 71, 70 and 69 could do it for me, or possibly 72, 71 and 69. So you could look which blues are going to go together and so on. But I was still in that position. How am I going to locate them all when they're all just in a jumbled up mess? So I came up with a system, and I started at the top here with number 1 and numbered them all the way through to the actual. I haven't got them all, obviously, but I numbered the ones that I've actually got, but included the ones I haven't. So in case I get any new ones from my collection, I can add it too. Although, because I do have a lot of pro markers as well as Copics as well as Spectrum Noirs, I don't really foresee me buying any more of these in the near future. So what I did then is, after I'd written the numbers down on the thing, so 83 is apple cider, 83 is, I made a little label that's 83, which is apple cider. And then I bought myself this off Amazon, and it's a marker case. It was about £16, but it has been an absolute dream because it's made my life so much easier. Because now when I go to colour an image and I think, right, I want to colour the trousers on the boy blue, I can pick out 3 blues. What I want to colour, I always get my cool greys out for shadowing and things, etc. So I can actually pick what I want. And then in the storage, I've actually got them all numbered. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it jumps to 10, but that's the next one I had available. So this one, 83, has come out of here in between 81 and 85, and I can slot it back in where it goes. So all I need to do now is just get this out, and I can flip through, find the number that I want that corresponds to the marker, and it's made my life so much more easy when I come to colour. I don't dread the drawer of the pro markers all over the place. It has a nice clip side, and I don't store it upwards like that. I only carry it that way if I'm taking it with me, but I do fasten it all up, and it's nice and neat, stored away. And all I do then when I'm storing it at home is just make sure I keep it on its side so that my markers are lying flat, horizontal rather than upright, so that the ink stays even in the barrel. So I just wanted to show you that. Now, so obviously this crafting, I have got a lot of crafting stuff, I know, I appreciate that, and I don't know, and I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of crafting stuff as well. I think we have 2 hobbies. One of them's crafting and the other one's collecting crafting supplies. Now, that said, I absolutely love my crafting, and it's what brings me joy, and it's what I choose to spend my some of my disposable income, if you will. My husband likes to go to football. He has a season ticket and goes every season to all the games. And that's not an inexpensive hobby, shall we say, by the time you've factored in all the cup games, etc. And this is what brings me joy and keeps me sane. And incidentally, I did a similar colour chart for all my Copics, my Spectrum Noirs, my watercolour Spectrum Noirs, my Dreamy watercolour pencils, and my Nouveaux. I've only got a few Nouveau ink pens, but I really like their skin tones. So, and that keeps me organised, so I can decide what medium I want to colour with, and it means I can mix and match between my alcohol markers by looking up what colours would go with what. So for example, if you take a look at, and Spectrum Noirs, it's shocking when you look at the colour of some of the barrels, what they look like, the colour is nothing like. But if you compared some of these, you could look at some of these browns and think, okay, that's a really nice dark brown that would go with these two browns that I've already got. So 18, 19, 27. So you could go 19, 27 and take the TN marker. TN in the browns, TN 91 it is. I have to get my head in to read it because it's quite small. And I have those. I showed you what I had done with that. I made the daisy and stuck it to my wall, and I can probably include a photograph of that so you'll know what I'm talking about. So all the colours and the things are facing outwards so I can see them. So that's what I do. So I mix and match with my alcohol markers because I've now got the facility to look what's likely to make a nice blend. Okay, so I will show you the finished card when I'll include a little short clip of that at the end when I finish making it. But I won't make you sit through and watching me colour it in. You get the gist. You just unattach that one. Use your template. So if you go with the one that we made in the video, make sure that you use your template to make sure you get it in the right positions on your card, so that when you do finally attach, and to attach, you do a double layer of foam pads. But they mustn't be around here where the mechanism is, where your turning wheel is, and they mustn't touch the turning wheel, obviously. So all you do then, once you've got your foam tape on, line them up together carefully, and that would be, obviously with all your dressing and your pictures on, would be making that card complete. Okay, so that's it for this video. I know it's quite a long process because I've shown you a lot of things, but because there were so many people commenting on how cute the chemists were, and I actually used a stamp set, I thought, how can I make it so that the people can access this if they've not got the same stamp set that I've got? And mine was a gift. My friend was my friend's brother lives in Delaware, and she brought the stamp back for me because obviously she knows I'm a chemist and she is too. We did our degrees together, and she just fell in love with it when she saw it. And it's a Newton's Nuke. I don't know if they're available in this country, but she brought it back from me from America, and it is an amazing stamp. I absolutely fell in love with it. And I tend to take all my stamps out of the packaging usually, and put them in my own storage system. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Please give that Inkscape thing a go. It's not really that scary. And if you download it and open it on your computer and you follow everything that I did step by step, just ignoring everything else, I know the buttons look ultimately like nightmarishly complicated, and they do, and some of them are still like mystery to me, although I do know my way around quite a bit of things now in Inkscape. But don't be put off by that. Just use the ones that I showed you that you needed to use and stick to them to trace your image so that you can actually resize it without any pixelation. And I'm sure you'll love it because there's loads of free files and clip arts and things out there. Incidentally, I showed you the ones where I've got them. They had the coloured images. You could just as easily resize those using the resizer. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to make them into a path. Well, you could, but it'd be very complicated, and I wouldn't really want to put you through that at the minute. Resize the coloured ones, and then you could just cut them out and they're good to go. You don't even need to colour. But that's entirely up to you. I enjoy the colouring process, and I feel like it's more of a handcrafted card if I colour it in myself, but that's each to their own. They're still handcrafted, you've still taken the time, and I know that people will love the fact that you've actually made the card for them. So I just want to say bye for now. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you've liked the video, and thanks for your continued support. Your support that you give me does really spur me on to make more videos, and obviously coming up to the summer holidays, and hopefully that getting my craft room a little bit more than I have been able to while year 11 have been doing their exams. They finished last week, thank goodness. Physics was on Friday, and now I feel like I can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief, and we can just have a nice run down into the summer recess. All right, so I'll look forward to speaking to you all soon. Thanks for watching, and remember, I'll include the files free over on my blog when the video is live. So that's at beverly10.blogspot. I'll see you there soon, and if you do pop over there, please follow the blog, because then you'll get notified when I put files up there, and I do sometimes put things up there that are not on YouTube. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon. Bye.